Wolfie, would you like to say hi to the community out there? I'm going to tell you a story about a wolf, and here's the truth about wolves. They get a bad rap. They're really quite beautiful, like Wolfie here. Wolfie was made in Portugal, and he was a present to me from a friend who knows what I like. So I love working with Wolfie. My theory on puppets for you and me is that I only use puppets that I make when I tell stories. So I'm going to make a different, sorry, I'm telling the truth, Wolfie. And that's really what this story is about. It's about telling the truth. So I'm just going to tell these lovely folks out there that I'm going to show them how to make a wolf puppet. Not as good looking as you, and that's the truth. Because this story is about lying, which is not something that we should be doing. So I'm going to put you down there. You want to take just a little rest? Okay, now, you know and I know that puppets don't sleep. But Wolfie thinks he does because he's not really quite sure that he's a puppet. And I'm going to show you how I work him too, because I think that's important for you to know what's inside Wolfie, besides a good conscience, and that would be my part. The story we're going to tell is about, as fast as I can figure, 2,600 years old. That is very old. And it was written by a Greek slave, actually, who was freed eventually, but never should have been slave, but he was. And maybe he had a kind owner. I don't know his story. We're not sure we actually really do know his story, but his name, a very familiar name, is Aesop. And he wrote hundreds of fables. What is a fable? A fable is a story that tells an ultimate, a big truth. And his fables, here's a collection of them, were mostly meant for adults, although we use them for kids. Why do we do that? Because they're so visual. There's nothing that describes better what a wolf does, because wolves are created to do some part of their universe. And what they do isn't what we would do. A wolf, and most of his stories were about animals, which is another reason I love to tell them, because we don't have to, and he gives animals thoughts and ideas. So once, I think it was very recently, I did a Aesop Fable with you. If you haven't seen it, we should find it for you, about the rabbit and the hare. And that taught us slow and steady does the job. This story, as I've mentioned, is all about lying. I'm going to show you how to make the whole story out of a very simple material called paper. And I'm going to make it, I'm just going to roll it up. So what I want you to do is eventually take a piece of paper and make it relatively big. And the reason I do that is to be a puppet, your hand has to fit inside of it. And just for expediency, that means really fast, I'm going to staple it shut. Scotch tape works great and is really nicer than stapling. But today, for you, I'm going to say, look what happened to my hand. It's not going, it's inside, just like a puppet, right? So this is one character. We're going to make two characters for our story today. That one is red, because I had red on the top of my pile. And this one is, yep, blue. Roll up the blue, same thing, staple, staple. And I didn't make one in advance because I wanted to see what would happen if I made them with you watching. So now we have one character for our story and a little help from the other character. We have two. And we can do two puppets at the same time. Why? Because we have two hands. Now, very well and good. We could just take a marker and draw a face on here, but I want you to think three-dimensional. Three-dimensional, you know, is something that sticks out a little bit. So my face is not flat. My face has a bump on it called my nose. So the first one I'm going to do, I'm going to take this slightly larger piece of paper. I have two sizes. This is 1/4 of a sheet of construction paper, and it doesn't have to be any perfect particular size, but this one is a quarter. This one is truth told, it's a leftover, and I made it long for today because Wolfie, if you remember Wolfie, I'll just bring him back for a sec. He's going to model. Look at that long, thin face, and that's a characteristic of the wolf. Is that right? Oh, look what else he has. Oh, teeth. And if you remember some stories, they say, the better to eat you with, my dear. But in our story, we've changed it a little tiny bit. Get back, Wolfie. Sorry, I have to speak to my wolf. I'm going to make a half a face. But by making a half a face and leaving the fold there, whole, not cutting that side, maybe for your sake and even a little bit for mine, to do two things at once, I'm going to draw half a Wolfie face, all right? So, again, Mr. Wolfie, can I borrow you? It's kind of, maybe I'll let Wolfie do. What do you think? I think that's a good idea. Wolfie, would you hold the marker for me? He's really very talented. So what Wolfie's going to do, you're not a lefty, you're a righty. I'm sorry, Wolfie, excuse me. Wrong hand. You see, oh, that's how I put Wolfie on. See those right here? 2 fingers? These 2. And then 2 in the middle. Make his head, make him say yes. Cheerily ever does. And that's his thumb over there. So, my thumb. Now, this is way better because Wolfie, as I said before, and me, we're right-handed. So, look at Wolfie's head. Wolfie, see yourself in there? Oh, yeah. Looking good, Wolfie. All right. So, we're going to make a pointed ear right there. There he did. Nice job, Wolf. And then we're going to go like that. See that? That's what Wolfie did. He's very talented. And see how his nose is very, well, his snout, actually. Did you see that? Wolfie, are you proud of your work? You should be. All right, now I'm going to put you back down. And I'm going to do this. Because Wolfie doesn't always put the caps back on the marker, and then try to use them the next day. They're no good. So watch this. Now, Wolfie has allowed me to use the scissors. I just got Wolfie last year, so he's not quite old enough to use the scissors. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to cut on that line. But note, please note, that this is still a fold. So when I cut, I'm going to go all the way down there on that line. See? And go all the way down to the bottom. There. Voila. That's French fold. I did it. I'd say it to you in Greek, which was Aesop's language. Now, see that half? When you open it up, what do you got? You have a Wolfie face. You can make the best you can, right? And Wolfie said that I could color in his eyes. He likes me to be helpful too. So Wolfie, our Wolfie, well, I'm sharing him with you. He has round eyes, the better to see you with, my dear. And another story. And like that. Well, that's all very well and good. So now we have a Wolfie face. Ow. Should we do the teeth? Yeah, we should do the teeth. Now, are his teeth on the front? His teeth would be underneath. So you could take yourself a marker and just draw some jagged teeth in there. And then when Wolfie opens up his mouth, wait. Now we're going to take, what do you think? Blue? We'll go blue and blue. That's all we're going to do. And we're going to take one more stapler just here, again, for expediency. That's fast. Which is not what Mr. Aesop taught us, right? It's slow and steady wins the race, but it'll take a lot of time with you watching me staple. I'm going to just put his snout, his nose right there. So here's a wolf, a perfectly good wolf puppet. He can do everything that Wolfie can do except wave at you. So there he goes. He can move his head. He can say yes. He can even say no. He can say no without even talking when we just go on. I'm sure you've heard that. So here is the hero today of our story. In the original story told by written by Aesop in Greek, the hero is not the wolf. It's quite the other way. So we could tell it either way, but wait, we have to have someone else. Who would that someone else be? It would be the boy. Now, in the original story, it's called The Boy Who Cried Wolf. But I thought today, just to show you that things can be moved around a little bit if they make sense. And that's the truth of the story. I'm going to draw you a blueberry ice cream cone. No, I'm sorry, that was wrong. A blueberry scoop of ice cream with a blue cherry. They're pretty, delicious. It's not too hot in my room here, so it will not melt. Now, here again is where the fold is. What we're going to do is make boy. You could even sing a song about Little Boy Blue. Come blow your horn, but not today. So here I go. I have cut out that ice cream. It has not melted at all. And I'm now going to show you what happens when you open it up. What you got? You got a head. Now, if for the very first time, and this happens a lot, I teach teachers, and sometimes they are so excited to do something that they cut the other way, which means you have two halves. And if you come up with two halves, all you have to do is tape them together. But I'm going to teach you one little trick that I really like, and that is to fold our friend up here back. And see this line right here? This is called the bottom of his ear. So I want you to take your finger like that and just make a line across your face right there. And guess what you are? If you draw a line straight across, or pretty straight across, you come from the bottom of your ear to the bottom of your nose. So now I want you to think about this. Take a scissors and cut it just a little bit, just a little cut. And if you open it up, and if you cut from the bottom of his chin, chinny chin chin, to the bottom of, oh, I don't know what it is, could be a boy or a girl, yeah, you don't know, to the bottom of its nose, look there, what do we have? We have a letter T, big capital T. Then I want you to push from one side to the other. You get a little left over here, so you know what you do with that? Very fancy. You just pin it. Fold it back in. Now you have a face with a nose. Because if Wolfie has a nose, then boy or girl or they have a nose too. So then I'm going to use a stapler here for a couple of reasons. Watch what happens. You staple here, not where my finger is, please. And you remove it, you have a mouth, another mouth, to move ahead, to tell our story. Except for one thing. The better to see you, my friends. So we're going to make a couple of eyes, just big enough. And then we will start our story, the drama of our story. So when people travel sometimes, I have just some wonderful friends like you. They bring me stuff, and they don't bring me t-shirts. They bring me puppets from other countries. So every once in a while, I will show you things that people bring me so that I can show my friends out in the audience. Now look what happened to our piece of paper. We cut, we folded, poof, and now we have a head. And we're going to give our friend here, we're going to leave him just like that. And if I'm really clever, and you watching me try to be clever here, got it? I'm going to take that stapler again, staple one up there. Oh, look how surprised you look. And staple one up here. And now we have eyebrows. Story. Oops, I moved it a little bit. All right, so who's in our story? The wolf and the boy. Okay. Hey, Wolfie, I don't want you to feel left out. So you want to come up here for a minute and you can introduce the story for us. All right? In the original story, which I'm hoping you will look up and find, it's about a little boy. A little boy has a job, and he's really pretty good at his job, but he gets bored. His job is to watch the sheep. and to protect them against the wolf. Because wolves' natural inclination is to eat animals that it can't. That's what they do. That is how the world is. So the wolf is always hunting for something that it can have for dinner. You'll find that a lot in fairy tales and folk tales. You'll find it in nature. And that's the way nature turns. But our story today is going to turn that story just a little bit. And Wolfie, would you like to introduce our story, please? Thank you for coming today. My name is Mr. Wolf E. Actually, my name is Mr. E. Wolf. But would you just open the story, please? Sorry about that. Okay. The name of the story today was originally written by Aesop. Aesop, and all the stories he wrote became Aesopian, and anybody, and actually there were several stories attributed to him that maybe he did not write. None of the stories were actually written down to 300 years after he died. Oh, and of course, how did we get the stories? Somebody told them to somebody who told them to somebody who told them to somebody, until somebody was actually able to write them down. That's what happened to this one, because this one we know was written by Aesop, the Greek slave who lived on an island with his master, and his master taught him to read and to write. He was a good man or woman. We don't know that either. This story, called The Boy Who Cried Wolf, will be told by two puppets, one wolf puppet, not me because I am the master of ceremonies, and one boy. And the story, as we will tell it, is called The Wolf Who Cried Boy. Let's have some applause for the puppets. Thank you so much, Mr. Wolf. We'll see you later. Once upon a time, the story goes, there was a wolf. He lived with Mama Wolf and Papa Wolf and all the brothers and sister wolves, and they lived in a little village. And Wolfie, he was the youngest, I'm the youngest, and everybody had gone off to school, and there was nobody left to play with Wolfie, and he was very, very lonely. And then one day he discovered that if he just called out something, and somebody would come and help and play with him. And so one day he was looking around, didn't want to make a lot of trouble. Wolfie cried out, "Chocolate!" And everybody came. It was great. And they sat and they played with him. But then they said, "Wolfie, where is it?" "The chocolate? Oh, I ate it before you got here." They didn't believe him very much. Now, the one thing that wolves were very, very worried about was if people came into their little village and took their things and chased them away. Oh, none of the wolves wanted that. So after the call for chocolate failed, he decided that one way to get people to come, wolves to come, was if he cried out the thing they were most afraid of. And so he did. "Boy, boy, help, boy." And all the other wolves came running. They said, "What? Where?" "Oh, they just left when you got here." "Oh, phew. We do not want people in our village. They'll take all the things we have, ruin all about us. They'll ruin our environment. Oh, we can't have that. So you protect us against boy." And so it's exactly what he did. Just when he was sitting carefully, he'd even convinced himself that there was a boy coming in the village. He decided he was getting lonely all over again. So once more, he cried out, "Boy, boy," and all the people came running. What, where's boy? I don't see any boy." "Oh, Hugh, he must have gotten away. I was exhausted. I'm almost ready to take a nap." And they all went away. Now I have to tell you the truth. This happened 5, 6, 7 times. until they no longer believed a thing that Wolfie said. One day, really feeling sad and sorry for himself, Wolfie looked out of the corner of his wolfy eye, and he saw that which he had feared so much. He saw Boy coming towards him, and he was so worried. The wolf village was about to be infiltrated, was about to be taken over by a boy. So at the top of his wolf lungs, he yelled, "Boy, boy!" And nobody came. And Boy did exactly what Wolfie and all the other wolves feared. He took away everything that the wolves had carefully gathered, all their supplies, everything, and he took them away. And when all the other wolves came back, they said, "Where did everything go? We left you in charge." I yelled, "Boy, boy!" and nobody came. Oh, Wolf, Wolfie, Wolfie, we didn't believe you anymore. You've lied and lied. And what happens when you lie so much? No one will ever believe you. Wolfie learned a great lesson, and it is one of those great ultimate truths I spoke of before by saying a big story. That line, that one little line, that was the title of our story, The Boy Who Cried Wolves, became so famous that it is used as an expression, as a lot of Aesop's stories became. So remember this small piece of wisdoms that I told you. They're not mine, they're yours. A piece of paper rolled up, decorated. You could do such a good job. You could make him pause. And don't forget, I did not take any time to make them too. You can take white paper and put it on there. Wolves are in many of our stories. They are not always as dear and as kind as our friend Wolfie or the wolf who cried boy. Sometimes they are made to be the villain, as in a very famous story about a girl with a red hook who went to help Grandma. That was a wolf in Little Red Riding Hood. We see wolves and foxes always cast as demon and devil characters, but I want you to think about one. If you see one, who do you suppose was a great, much changed ancestor of a wolf and a fox? If you have one in your house, it's your friendly neighborhood dog. So, or your own dog. They're all related. They're all cousins, just like you and just like me. Wolfie, would you like to come down and say goodbye to everyone? Thank you so much for coming all the way from Portugal to be in my story today. You probably don't remember, you were just a little puppet. Who's inside of this puppet? Who makes peace with all of her stories? Me, and hopefully you. So wave goodbye. Excellent. Have a good day. A day of good. And that's the end. Thank you so much.